this is the first part of lesson 3-4. Talked about in class how when I was working through this packet, I noticed that a lot of the stuff in 3 and 4 were very similar, so I decided to mush those two sections together in the packet so it just wouldn't be a lot of overkill. It'd be they're really the same thing. So we're on page 7 at the very bottom. Sorry, it margins got messed up here. So it says you have been hired by your neighbors to babysit their children on Friday night. You're paid $8 per hour. Pretty good pay. Complete the table. And you have to flip over here. Complete the table relating your pay to the number of hours you worked. So if you listen to that, it's the pay to the hours. So it's got to be pay to hours. So filling in the table here, remember it was $8 an hour. So for 1 hour it'd be 8. 2 hours would be 16. 3 would be 24. If any of this is not in your multiplication tables in your head, then you can definitely use a calculator. So 4 hours, $8 an hour would be 32. And I kind of gave a heads up back when we were doing another table. I'm like, be careful about, don't just get in the habit of, oh, I'm just going to add 8, because your table does something really interesting here. So you always want to pay attention to how many hours it says. So this is 4.5 hours. When we did this in class, kids had different ways of approaching it. Some kids said 4.5 was equivalent to 4.5, and then they just used their calculator, and they went 4.5 times 8. And some kids said that if an hour is $8, a half an hour would be 4. So then they took the 32 and they added 4 more dollars onto it and got 36, which I thought was very creative. 5 hours at $8 an hour would be 40. 6 hours, 6 times 8 is 48. And then you have another partial hour thing going on in here. 6.5 is like 6.5. So you could do 6.5 times 8 if you wanted to, or you can do that same thing knowing that a half hour is 4. It'd be the 6 hours pay is 48 plus another $4 would be 52. So question here based on the table above, is the pay proportional to the hours worked? How do you know? Again, keep practicing the same skill. Is pay proportional to hours? We set that up like that, pay to hours. So if you're going to do ratios, sorry, I keep moving this around. It'd be 8 over 1 plus 8, 16 over 2, work it out, it equals 8, and so on. But being that we had already been using a multiplier as we went, kind of makes sense to use the multiplier. So we know that it was the hours getting multiplied by 8. And just reviewing the success criteria for this, you've got to show me that you're multiplying. We don't use a common divider. If you're going to use ratios, you show division, but a common multiplier would have a multiplication sign, and you have to show your arrow in which direction it is going. So it goes from the hours over the pay. So 2 times 8 giving you the 16, 3 times 8 giving you the 24, and so on. Okay, so is pay proportion hours, and we also started working in lesson 3-4 on really deepening our knowledge. Our learning target had a part that talked about using the correct vocabulary. So we're not just going to say yes because, we're going to say yes, pay is proportional to hours worked because there is a common multiplier. Now, if you used the ratios to get a unit rate, you could have said there is a common unit rate. And we also have that new vocabulary, where did my paper go, that was on the white paper. You can also use, whoops, it wasn't on my white paper. The white paper was like this. Constant of proportionality, you could say that as well. there is a constant of proportionality. So pretty much the same thing we're working on in lesson 2, just deepening the knowledge a little further.